Hey guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. So I think today we're going to talk about something that has like a good debate that has been going on for centuries, right?
Yes.
The concept of free will. Now, do humans possess genuine free will, or are our choices influenced by external factors like genetics, upbringing, environments, or higher power?
Right. And before we proceed any further, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. We drop videos like this every week. But to go back to our topic, right? So is there such a thing as free will? And does that contradict the concept of God even, And there's lots of other factors that play into a role when it comes to how we answer this question, right?
Yeah.
That's going to depend on each of our views and definitions of free will,
Exactly.
God, and everything that God includes, And I don't feel like it interferes with any one of our beliefs. This is just something that we can speak on depending on your philosophical views, theological views, and things like that.
Exactly. It's just like adding something, perspective to a debate that's been going on for centuries.
Yes.
So for this to be like basic, what is free will and how do you define it?
Okay. So for me, I think very philosophically and scientifically. So I tend to go with that definition when it comes to describing free will, saying that it is the supposed power or capacity of humans to make decisions or perform actions independently of any prior event or state of the universe.
Okay, so that is a common theme. You said philosophical. Wow, that's a tough word to say. So that 5 times, right? Viewpoint of that.
Yes.
So now I went with the basic standard Oxford Dictionary. So it is, what is free will? Well, it's the power to make your own decision about what to do without being controlled by God, fate, or circumstances.
Yes, and there is a similarity in each one of these definitions that I see. Basically, being able to make a decision independently of any one of like those outside factors, right? Now, is that technically possible in this world that we live in today?
Ooh, good question. So do we have free will, and does that contradict the concept of God or higher power?
So in my opinion, right, I'd like to think that free will is a bit of a scam.
Okay, well, wait, let's go back to the definitions, right? Because if we're talking about God, we want to know what is assumed of God.
Okay, it's assumed of God that he is omnipotent, which means he's like all powerful, and he's also omniscience, which means all knowing.
Okay, so we have an all powerful, all knowing God.
God, right. Who and then also about free will, it's assumed that there's non-predictability, because if we have free will and we're making independent decisions not based on anything, then technically our future is unpredictable. But with an all-knowing and all-powerful God, how is that possible? Like, could that also be saying that maybe he doesn't know some of the decisions that we're about to make?
That's interesting.
What do you think?
Yeah. So all-knowing and all-powerful God, and does that contradict our free will? That's a very good point, and that's why the debate has been going on for years, y'all. All right? It's just like, which one came first, the chicken or the egg?
Okay.
So, I don't know. Well, if we have an all-powerful, all-knowing God, and we still have to exercise our free will.
Yes.
Now, it brings into question, just because he knows what we're about to do next, does that mean he interferes?
Well, and that's part of the argument. So whether he interferes or not, it's the fact that he knows what we're about to do. You know what I mean? Because it's all-knowing. That means he can predict our future, which is supposed to be unpredictable. You know what I mean? So that kind of like, okay, so what are we saying then? Like, does he know and then act like he don't know? Like, well, what are we really saying?
And it's like, what is predictability? Like, is there science behind that? Like, would you say someone who predicts you 1 out of 10 times, does that fall under predictability or does that fall under unpredictability? Because there's
if you want to get complicated with it. And there are also other, things that plays a role in this argument. Things like determinism and causality, or laws of the universe, things that we abide by, that also adds further constraints to the decisions that we make. Are we really independently making decisions without any outside influence when there's things like the, cause and effect exists? Cause you did this, this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
So if you want to avoid this possibility, wouldn't you always make a certain decision every single time? Whether there are parallel universes, whether they're all different versions of you playing out those, other decisions that you make, like, do they contradict? It feels like it's a lot of,
because this is without external factors, right? Well, chance. Well, what is chance? Is chance internal or is chance external factor? Because what are the chances of, say, these parallel universe, these identities, or what are the chances that they choose to do the exact same thing every single time?
Well, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So I don't know that anybody, if they have all of their decisions played out in front of them, like if they know all the possible decisions they could make and how the end result is, I don't know who's going to decide on the worst end result. You're probably going to decide on the best end result for yourself every single time, which makes it very predictable. Now what?
Well, but does it though? Because you would think that someone would choose the best case scenario every single time, but by human nature, people are flawed, right? So the way you want things to play out with your best intentions may automatically lead you to the worst case scenario. Because we have to look at,
so then
patterns,
you're saying then there's
habits,
other factors that affects the decision we make.
Yeah, there could be numerous factors.
And it's not independent on any other prior events. You see, now that goes back to the definition of the free will that I used.
Yeah.
That free will, that decision has to be made independent of any prior event. So if there are certain things that led you to make that decision,
But can there ever be without independent prior events? Because say you look at one human life example and you trace it. With what you were saying with cause and effect, is anything independent without one another? Because it's kind of like, there's so many laws out there, right? But if we're all one and everything is related to one another, how can there ever be independence?
Okay. And that makes it also a very good point. There's lots of things and factors that play a role into the definition of free will. And then this goes into, languages as well.
Language is huge.
The different perspectives that we have on these definitions. And then there's another argument that states that even us trying to be logical about a supernatural being, which is who God is do we really have the definitions to describe this guy, this supernatural guy?
That's true. Is language capable enough to describe this all-knowing,
Are there enough words, especially how there are some concepts that some people literally cannot understand yet when it comes to him,
Yeah.
Lots of factors that play into this. And we want to invite you guys really into this debate because I'm curious to see what you guys would have to say about this.
Yeah.
And also about some of the questions and concepts that are assumed about these arguments, right?
True, yeah. So we're gonna leave you guys with some, mind-boggling questions that may make you wonder in terms of the concept of free will and God.
Yes.
So one of it being, if free will exists, can it be exercised in a truly spontaneous or unpredictable manner? Or is it subject to patterns and influences we may not fully understand? Right?
That's a good one. And I have a few questions myself. I mean, that may help you guys decide whether, free will exists for us or not. And does that contradict the concept of God and who he is? So does free will assume non-predictability? Just because, we have free will, does that mean it can't be unpredictable? Does omnipotence assume omniscience? Just because God is all-knowing, should that mean, just because God is all-powerful, should that mean that he knows what you're going to do all the time? Okay. Does this ultimate power or omnipotence assume the power to contradict our free will? Now this goes into a whole other, like somebody saying, well, he got the power to contradict it because he's almighty.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
But does he choose to contradict it?
Okay, but then there's a law that they can't interfere with free will. Oh, but he will when he wants to. It's just a lot of confusing statements out there. And lastly, does the concept of determinism and causality defeat the purpose of free will?
Yeah, these are definitely some mind-boggling questions. And I'm going to add one more in there. Can artificial intelligence and robots have free will?
Okay.
We're moving in a time of Aquarius, so to speak, right? Technology, advancement, AI, all of that is the future, which is now. Okay, so do robots have free will, and are they bound to their program or are they bound to their programming or algorithm?
And that puts a really interesting take on it, with us being the creations of God and then AI being our creations.
Yes.
It's just interesting to be able to see that play out, you know what I mean, from our point of view. That's really cool. And geez, I don't know. It's scary when I think about AI and robots having free will. You know what I mean? Because I feel like they should abide by those algorithms.
And that's the concept that God, views on us.
Exactly.
Should we abide by these multiple
universal laws
and these parallel universes?
Exactly.
Yeah, so,
right?
God, listen. It's like we spoke a lot, but we're back right to where we came from.
The beginning.
Okay.
But anyways, guys, this was a very juicy topic. I just wanted to bring it out to you guys to see what you all think. If you have any additional comments that you'd like to add based on any of the definitions we've shared with you or the concept we shared with you, definitely add it in the comments.
Okay, we'd love to hear your perspective on things. Go ahead, like and subscribe if you have not already. We drop videos like these every single week, okay?
Yes, we do.
So stay tuned. We'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.